and you have parents or forefathers who are suffering in hell or whatever suffering, you can fast, you can observe fasting today, school fast, no, not even water, you can save them. So many rituals associated with Ekadasi fast, but our Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada said that we don't have to do the ritualistic part of the observance of Ekadasi. We can chant for rounds. Instruction is to every Ekadasi we should at least chant 25 rounds. So we'll be reading from 8th Canto, chapter 7. So the whole chapter 7 is about the churning of the ocean of guilt by the demigods and the demons. Incidentally, on the 17th is the start of the Purushottam month. Before it was called Addik Mas. Useless. Addik means useless. Like the addicts, drug users. During this time, ritualistic activities are not effective. So the homa or the fire sacrifice should not be done. But then this month was known to be Purushottam. Purushottam is another name for Lord Krishna, Purusha. So it is said that when you observe Vrat during Purushottam month, it is 8 times more powerful than even the Kartik. So Kartik month, it is said that if you do Kartik Vrat, it is 8 times 8 million times powerful than the ritualistic activity. So compare that with Purushottam, which is 8 more times powerful. This is according to Hari Bhakti Vilas. So on the 17th, today is 14 or 15? 14. So 3 days more. The Vrat consists of like offering lamp to Radha Krishna. So automatic, the devotees are already offering lamp in the temple. And then you should wake up at Mangala for 1 month. So automatic devotees in the temple are required to do Mangala. And then at least 26 rounds. No telling lies. Be truthful for 1 month. Then do not blaspheme devotees for 1 month. Don't criticize. Avoid criticism against devotees, except for correcting those who are not following the rules and regulations. We can correct during this month, but not to degrade other devotees or blaspheme them. So, for eating, one should not eat tomatoes during the month, eggplant, and do not use mustard seed or mustard oil. So, those who will observe, do not take achar. Achar is made out of mustard oil. Then one can eat once a day only for 1 month. That's minimum for eating. Or one can do Ekadasi brat, Ekadasi prasadam only. But for a minimum, one can take once a day. So it's up to you. Purushottam month comes sometimes twice, every after 2 years or every after 3 years, depending on the calendar. So it comes every 3 years or 2 years. Usually it comes during leap year. So the Purushottam month is equivalent to leap year in the Vaishnava calendar. So during Purushottam month, we don't observe Chaturmasya. Kasi kung mag-observe ko pa ng Chaturmasya, mas the observance of Purushottam Vrat is harder. So let's go to the verses. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narantarva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire Nastapureshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhagavati Naistiki. Continued reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th Canto, chapter 7, verses 8 to 9. May purport ko na. Verse 8 na. May purport ko na. Vilokya Vinyesha Vidim Tadeshwaro Duranta Viryo Vitata Visandhi Kritva Vapu Kachapam Adhutam Pravisya Toyam Girim Ujahara Vilokya Vignesa Vidin Tadeshwaro Duranta Viryo Vitata Visan Vidi Kritvabapu Kachapam Adbhutam Mahat Pravishatoyam Girim Ujahara Tadeshwaro Duranta Viryo Vita Visandi Kritvabapu Kachapam Adbhutam Mahat Pravishatoyam Girim Ujahara Vilokya Vignesa Vidin Tadeshwaro Duranta Viryo Vitata Vishasandi Kritvabapu Kachapam Adbhutam Mahat Pravishatoyam Girim Ujahara
Vilokya Vignesa Vidin Tadeshwaro
Vilokya Vignesa Vidin Tadeshwaro
Duranta Viryo Vitatva Visandihi
Duranta Viryo Vitata Visandi
Vapu Kachapam Adbhutam Mahat
Kritvabapu Kachapam Adbhutam Mahat
Pravishatoyam Girim Ujahara
Pravishatoyam Girim Ujahara
Vilokya Vignesa Vidin Tadeshwaro
Vilokya Vignesa Vidin Tadeshwaro
Duranta Viryo Vitata Visandi
Duranta Viryo Vitata Visandi
Kritvabapu Kachapam Adbhutam
Kachapam Adbhutam Mahat
Pravishatoyam Girim Ujahara
Pravishatoyam Girim Ujahara Vilokya Vignesa Vidin Tadeshwaro Duranta Viryo Vitata Visandi Kritvabapu Kachapam Adbhutam Mahat Pravishatoyam Girim Ujahara Vilokya observing Vigna the obstruction, the sinking of the mountain. Isha within by the providential arrangement. Tada then Ishvara the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Duranta Virya inconceivably powerful. Avitata infallible. Abhisandi whose determination. Kritva expanding. Vapu body. Kachapam tortoise. Adbhutam wonderful. Mahat very great. Pravishya entering. Toyam the water. Girim the mountain. Mandara Ujahara lifted. Translation and purport by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Seeing the situation that had been created by the will of the Supreme, the ultimate powerful Lord, whose determination is infallible, took the wonderful shape of a tortoise, entered the water, and lifted the great Mandara mountain. Let us repeat. Seeing the situation that had been created by the will of the Supreme, the unlimitedly powerful Lord, whose determination is infallible, took the wonderful shape of a tortoise, entered the water, and lifted the great Mandara mountain.
Uy, tapos mo na
Purple.
yun. 9, Prabhu. Ako yung nag-lecture.
9
9 and 10.
sum.
Tapos ko na po yan.
Ano dapat?
9 and 10.
Next.
Next.
9 and 10. Anyway,
Sige lang, Prabhu. Yan na. Diretso na na, okay?
basahin ko na lang yung text. Text 7.9. Tamutitang Vikshakula Salampunang Samjata Nirmatitum Surashura Dadara Pistena Salaksha Vijana Rastalina Dwipa Iva Paromahan. Translation. When the demigods and the demons saw that the Mandara mountain had been lifted, they were enlivened and encouraged to begin churning again. The mountain rested on the back of the great tortoise, which extended for 800,000 miles, like a large island. Text 7.10. Surasurendraya Bija Virya Babitam Pariparamatam Girim Angat Prishtata Vibratad Avartanam Adi Katako Yenena Kambiyanam Apremiha. Translation. O king, when the demigods and the demons, by the strength of their arms, rotated Mandara mountain on the back of the extraordinary tortoise, the tortoise accepted the rolling of the mountain as a means of scratching his body, and thus he felt a pleasing sensation. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always the unlimited, Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his body as a tortoise held on his back the largest of mountains, Mandala Parvata, he did not feel any inconvenience. On the contrary, he apparently felt some itching, and thus the rotation of the mountain was certainly very pleasing. Omagyan, Tigrandasya, Girandana, Salakaya, Taksu, Yukandena, Tasraisi, Tigrandana, Sri Chaitanya, Istam, Sapitam, Jayavitare, Swayam, Rupa, Kadamayan, Vedati, Swapadantita, Vanchkalpatari, Prasat, Vipasindhi, Vedita, Patita Nam, Pavanebyo, Vaisnavebyo, Namo, 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 Vishnu, Padayati, Samsthavate, Srimad Bhagavatam Krishna, Namo, Vishnu, Padayati, Samsthavate, Srimad Bhagavatam Krishna, Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Vedani, Sukadini, Nirvisesa Samudari, Kasatya, Visakadini. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaur, Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'll just read the last translation. O king, when the demigods and demons, by the strength of their arms, rotated Mandara mountain on the back of the extraordinary tortoise, the tortoise accepted the rolling of the mountains as a means of scratching his body, and thus he felt a pleasing sensation. So we are continuing the pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the incarnation of the tortoise. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead has different incarnations. The toilet. there are numerous incarnations of the Supreme Lord in order to the general reason for his coming down or incarnating is in order to kill the demons and establish religion. But in this particular incarnation, we see that in order to fulfill the pastime of the Lord in scratching his back, he took the form of a tortoise. And it was the demons and the devas who are cooperating with each other in order to fulfill the seemingly important desire of the Supreme Lord. So the Supreme Lord, sometimes he wants to fight, so he chooses his enemies, the opposition. So we read also in the Srimad Bhagavatam that giant Vijay was chosen to be his opponents several times. This giant Vijay they incarnated to several pairs of demons. And during the appearance of Lord Krishna, they appeared as Shishupal and Nandavakta. So even in the pastime of Lord Chaitanya, they also appeared as the two brothers, Jagai and Madai. So these are pastimes of the Supreme Lord, but it is said also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he has so many incarnations, and the original Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. So we also heard from the Srimad Bhagavatam that during the creation of the universe and the manifestation of the material energy, the Purusha avatars have also appeared. So sometimes people will just accept Lord Vishnu as the Supreme. But now we are hearing that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although if we analyze the time frame, the timeline, it seems that the Purusha avatars have appeared first. But then we also studied that Krishna is not Krishna is not connected with time. Krishna is time himself, so he is not affected by time, he is not controlled by time. He is independent of time. That's why it is proven in the Srimad Bhagavatam that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all incarnation, is Lord Krishna. From him, all the incarnation emanates. And we also see that the various incarnation comes in succession during the day of Lord Brahma, and even during the Chatur, one set of yugas, Chatur yugas. You have the Satya the Treta, the Dwapara, and the Kali Yuga. So we see different incarnations. So just like the turtle's incarnation, it will appear again on another Chatur Yuga or another day of Lord Brahma. So here we see that the demons and the devas, they have cooperated with each other in order to get to obtain the nectar from the churning of the ocean of milk. And we see that they are having a hard time because of the hugeness, the huge Mandara mountain. So, because we heard from previous verses that the Mandara mountain crashed. It fell down and crushed the demons and the devas alike. And so the Supreme Personality of Godhead has to appear, and he single-handedly carried the Mandara mountain and eventually put it at the back of another of his incarnation, the tortoise. And now we will see that the churning of the ocean will be successful. So here we can see that without the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nothing can be successful. In the same way, in our life, we should eventually depend on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We always think, many of us think that we are in control. We are never in control. The one who is controlling everything is the Param Atma. So everything can be, everything will happen in accordance to the sanction of the Paramatma and in accordance to the will of the Supreme Lord, and which is also in accordance of the action and the action of our karma. So nothing happens by chance, and we see that the demons and the devas, they are trying to get the nectar so that they will obtain immortality. But we are hearing from Lord Chaitanya that immortality can only be obtained by observing or practicing devotional service. And devotional service is best practiced in this Kali Yuga through the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the nectar that these demons and the devas are trying to obtain by working so hard, by churning the ocean of milk to get the nectar for immortality, we see that we can compare this to the hard-working people, hard-working karmis, who only want to get money for self-gratification. But we know that in this material world, there is no real happiness. So everyone is looking for happiness. We want to be happy. And happiness can only be obtained by connecting to our source. And our original source is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should realize internally that we are part and parcel of God, and we can never be happy uh, until we connect again with the Supreme God. And there, and the only way is through devotional service. And again, it starts with the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, and it ends with the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. At the end of our lives, we should be chanting the Hare Krishna mantra offenselessly. In that moment, if we are following the four regulative principles and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra offenselessly, then we can go back to the kingdom of God. We did not go through this mundane process of material activity, obtaining money to gain happiness. Ultimate happiness is only obtained by reconnecting ourselves to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are spiritual sparks, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So we should not waste our time doing nonsensical activities that are not connected to devotional service. So we can, thinking about this, we can conclude that anything that is not connected to devotional service is a sin. That's the ultimate definition of sin. Sins are activities which do not have any connection with the devotional service. So devotional service is very, very powerful. Anything that is connected with the service is getting a part of the nectar of devotional service. And I've been using this as an example. Like, for example, we offer fruits which we bought from the market. So those who sow the fruits, the trees which produce the fruits, will benefit from the offering of these fruits in the altar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is how the whole material world can be purified by the Sankirtan movement, by Prashadam distribution, Harinam, book distribution. These are the activities that we should perform in order to purify ourselves, at the same time purify the whole world. So, as we read this pastime of the Supreme Lord as Kurma, the tortoise incarnation of Krishna, of Lord Krishna, we see the highest form of useless endeavor by the demons and the devas just to get immortality. But due to the mercy of the Lord, Kurma, as the incarnation, the tortoise incarnation appeared, and they saw this divine incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So these demons and the devas, they are able to witness this incarnation of God, and we see that in comparing this to our present life, we are able to conclude that there are other existence in this universe. The existence of big demons and the existence of the demigods, who are the officers of the universe. So I'll stop here and ask if there are questions. Yes, Prabhu.
If you are doing devotional service,
Yes.
a lot of devotional service, and you follow no rules and regulations, is the devotional service accepted by the Lord?
The mere fact, the word devotional service means it pertains, it's an offering to the Supreme Lord. So devotional service, like what we're doing, we are doing puja to the deities. The deities are not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when we offer paraphernalia, when we offer food, when we offer vegetables and fruit, this is devotional service. That's why I said a while ago that devotional service is very, very powerful, because anything connected with the activity of devotional service, they gain so much benefit. In a way, those who sold the fruits, they give devotional service. They're part of devotional service. That's why we see that we, in the Balitawak, where we buy our fruits and vegetables, they see us. They will say, oh, nandiyan na Hare Krishna. So by seeing us, they are already chanting Hare Krishna. They're chanting the names of God when they see us. So when we come, they say Hare Krishna. So part of devotional service. So that's why wherever the devotees go, devotees will purify the environment, purify the living entities. When we chant our rounds and outside, the trees and the other people will hear our chanting. When we do Harinam, even though there are no human beings, the trees are there, the birds are there, hearing the Mahamantra. So, the third devotional service particularly pertains to the service to the Supreme Lord. Devotion, with devotion. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, if we offer fruit, flower, leaves, or water with devotion. So the important ingredient is the devotion, not the mechanical activities or action. There should be devotion. So that's why Brahmins are allowed only to do the puja, not the ordinary devotees. Because when you obtain Brahminical initiation, there are higher qualifications to become a Brahmin. So a Brahmin is one who has controlled anger, who is doing austerity, who is free from anger, who is free from envy, free from greed and lust. Eventually, that's the level of Brahmins. But higher than the Brahmins are the Vaishnavas. When you are termed as Vaishnava, when you are a so-called Vaishnava, then you are a devotee of Vishnu or the Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. You are serving directly the Supreme God. So you are a Vaishnava. So devotional service is it is the highest activity that we can do. And part of that, or the whole part of that is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. When we chant Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We are asking Hare. We are asking the Srimati Radharani and Krishna himself and Lord Rama to grant us service so that we can do service. More service, more service. Our prayer is more service, more service, more service. That's the real purport of the Hare Krishna mantra. Asking for more service. So service means service to the devotees, service to Vaishnavas, service to other living entities. So when you are Vaishnava, you are already there respecting everyone. You give respect to everyone because you see the Paramatma in every living entity. So there's no point of having an enemy. You don't have any more enemy. So you come to the point of doing service or always ready to do service to everyone. But especially we do service to the Vaishnavas. So sometimes we discriminate the Vaishnavas and the non-devotees. But coming to the point of non-discrimination is very, very elevated. It's an elevated position wherein you are able to see the Paramatma in everyone. And you should realize that it's only time that separates one entity to another in attaining perfection. The life of Lord Brahma is 3.11 trillion years. It's very long compared to our lifetime. So, who knows when can we have when can we attain perfection? Is it within the day of Lord Brahma or within the lifetime of a Manu? We had 14 Manus in one day of Lord Brahma, and that's so long. Every Manu has around 650 million years. Compare that to our lifespan. But Srila Prabhupada said that if we become serious in our practice, then we can be perfect in this lifetime. We can perfect our devotional service. So devotional service is always accepted by the Supreme Lord.
It is with love that we can devote.
If it is offered with love and devotion. Just like, for example, we are accepting donations from many people. But if devotees inside the temple are not doing their duties, then the donation of those people will eventually go to waste. And the devotees inside will get reaction. If the money was obtained from sinful activities, then the devotees will get reaction. If they do not perform their responsibilities. So it's dangerous to stay in the temple if you do not perform the proper practice of sadhana bhakti. If you do not do your service, then you get reactions from, you will be affected by the sinful activities associated with the donation. So it's not that we just receive donation and spend it. We should spend it wisely for the activities of fruitful life, deity worship, book distribution, and harina. So it is like that. Is that alright?
Well, it means what? Is it accepted? When you do the devotional service,
Devotional service is always accepted.
whether you follow the rules and regulation or don't.
No, devotional service means following the rules and regulations, chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Nothing can be called devotional service if it is not in accordance with the scripture, sadhu, and guru. So the three bases of our activities is sadhu, guru, and sastra. If our activities are not in accordance to these three, then it is not devotional service. It is a material activity. So we should always think of our action, if it is in accordance to our Guru's instruction, if it is in accordance to Srila Prabhupada, if it is in accordance to scriptures, and if it is in accordance to the examples given by the saintly persons. That's the basis of devotion. Outside of that is sin, offense. Outside of the three, there are only offenses or sinful activities.
The level of the devotional service or the benefits you get from the devotional service, like the tree, this Kalachuchi tree, the tree itself and the flowers, the two get the tree, and then the devotee who make the garland from the deity, and the pujaris who offered for the deities, is that the both same level of get benefit for this devotional service, including this tree?
The level of devotion depends on the consciousness.
Who made the consciousness?
So, the more conscious a living entity, the more he gets, or it gets, the devotion, the effect of devotional service. But all those who are connected to the offering of the flowers or making of the garlands, offering it eventually to the Supreme Lord, they all get part of the benefits of doing the offering, or what Lord Krishna's deity, Radha Madhav, get having the beautiful garlands. So the trees there, the Kaluchichi tree, will benefit from it. Eventually it will get part of the punya, part of the spiritual benefit, and get a human life in its next life. So when the tree is also conscious, it will see that, oh, here comes the devotees getting my flowers. These trees are becoming happy. They become happy and they produce more flowers. If devotees get flowers from them, they become happy. Oh, ito na naman yung mga kalbo. Ito na naman sila. Tatapakan nila ang branch ko. They will step on my branches. They will step on my branches. They will give me some dust from their lotus feet. So these living entities, wherein they are part of the devotional service, the activities related to devotional service, they all get benefited. So, hearing this, we should do more devotional service. Isn't it? Because these activities will purify everything, will purify everyone. And we should develop ourselves internally, being free from anger, from criticism. Why should we be angry? We can talk. Sometimes we are doing activities, but seemingly activities, but we should ask ourselves, is this connected to the service of the Supreme Lord? Whom are we serving? The Supreme Lord or ourselves? When we are serving the Supreme Lord, then there's no reason of anger. No reason of personal reasons. There should be no personal reason. Kaya yung those where we do the food for life or prasadam distribution, people are happy, you know. They always think of when will those bald-headed devotees or the female who looks like Muslim. Sometimes devotees are mistakenly identified as Muslims, especially the ladies. But when they hear us chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, oh, this is different. Anything more? Paggawa ng
Kailangan po ba ng paa para matouch niya yung lotus dito? Kahit in-dust na sa chinelas, okay na yun. Para dun sa tree.
what is the proper way of getting flowers from the tree?
You have to respect.
Well, if you're not yet so advanced, the dust at your lotus feet is not not so much a purifying agent. Anyway, whether a person is advanced or not, the activity of getting the flowers in itself is devotional service. So the tree will benefit. If a sadhu sits under the tree, if ano dyan dun sa abadut, if an abadut is traveling, an abadut travels around, he does not have a particular place to stay. So he's just traveling around. If a single person sits under the shadow of a tree, then the tree benefits. The trees are conscious, and they will see who is sitting, who is climbing the tree, and they will know who is advanced or not. They will feel, oh, this sadhu is taking shelter of my shadow. I will stretch my branches more to serve. So it's best, your question, it's best to take away the sleepers. Because if your sleepers has step on the stool of a dog, then you are offending the tree. So it's best that you use your feet without the slippers. You're not, hindi mo dinudumihan yung tree. You're respecting it. So when we're trying to get the dust from the feet of sadhus, the sadhu does not put the slippers on your forehead. He puts the feet without the slippers. That's why there's also the practice of washing the feet of the sadhu. Then sprinkle the water in your head. So you're getting the dust from the dust already in the water, putting it in your head. It's better to take off the slippers before climbing the tree.
Follow up to their question.
Wala namang,
Follow up their question, Prabhu.
wala namang ano tawag doon? Walang, there's no, hindi, yung dust na yun, hindi naman nag-touch sa feet mo eh. Mabuli yun.
Prabhu, follow up to their question, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
The reason why they asked that, kasi one time, yung sleeper niya, iniwan niya sa ilalim ng puno ng
May
tree.
akaw.
May nakaw. Hinako ng dumaan na batang grasa. Ayun.
Ninakaw.
Oo, pagbaba niya, wala na. Sinelas ni Madab yun. Si Madab, hiniram niya. Sabi niya, kuha kami flower. So, napagpanik niya ng puno, iniwan niya yung sinelas sa ilalim ng puno. Pagbaba niya,
Then that's another case. You should think of how to protect the sleepers.
kaya every time na papanik siya, nag-sleeper na lang pumanik.
Mayroon rin mga kumukuha siya ng flowers. Yung flowers na mulong na touch sa slippers, hindi na yun pwede. Parang ganun din. May case-to-case basis din.
Actually, if we become strict, anything that falls down cannot be offered. Yes.
You have mentioned, thank you for being with us. You have mentioned kasi na we must, for a devotee, must be free of from anger. And may naman sa Shastra ka, one should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, keeping ourselves lower than the smallest tree. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of auspiciation, and should be ready to offer us more humble than a blade of grass. Does it mean, Prabhu, na kasi by chanting the holy names of the Lord, diba, it purifies our senses, our minds, and our body. So, no matter like how long now we've been a devotee, like 40 years, 50 years, we've been chanting for 72 rounds, 64 rounds. But how come that we are still not free from anger? Now, once we are being checked, we don't admit our mistakes, but we react that we have to show that we are, parang kita mo na mas matanda ako sa iyo, I'm more senior than you, you don't have the right. Parang ganun. So what can you say about it? Paano ba? Or does it mean na hindi pa na-purify yung hearts niya even though na matagal na siyang nag-chant ng rounds niya? What can you say about it?
Senior devotee means one who is advanced in terms of devotion, service, realization, knowledge, transcendental knowledge. It's not necessarily the years. You can be practicing so many years, but doesn't really realize the purport or the conclusion of the sadhana bhakti or the practice of negative devotional service. So the point is, that's why there is this Trinada Pinsuliche. We should be tolerant as a tree. We can only realize being tolerant if we realize also that Krishna is the supreme, who gives the supreme decision. Nothing is decided with chance. Everything is decided because of a reason. So if we surrender to that kind of conclusion, that Krishna eventually decides everything, and he can decide through, like, that's why there is the principle of officers in the Hare Krishna movement, the authorities. So the authorities, the instruments of Krishna to make decisions. The Paramatma is within authorities inside the temple. So they are being guided by the Supreme Lord through the Paramatma, through the and through the rules and regulations. So there's no point of actually getting angry at any time. There's no point. When you are angry, then, especially when you are personal, your anger is personal, then it's offense against the other party and yourself. Actually, when we are angry, pointing at other people, we are pointing one finger to the opposition. But then we are pointing three fingers to ourselves, isn't it? You're angry, you point. You're nothing. Dapat ganun ang point. Five fingers, not the index. So when we are angry for personal reasons, then it is an offense. So what we can do is that Trinad Pisulichena. Trinad means to become humble than the blade of grass. So we will always see, remember that, then we will be always ready to serve. In the material world, it is inverted. We want to be served. So sometimes we find devotees who are still in the lower state. They are proud. They want to be served, isn't it? I experienced that in my early years in Hare Krishna. But because I already read the Trinata Pisulichena, then I'm not affected by the mood of the devotees who are so-called senior and they want to be served. Even wanting to wash their... Sometimes there are devotees who want their clothes to be washed by other devotees. So I see that as a negative thing on the practice. But for myself, if somebody wants me to do something but it is related to service, then I would gladly do it. This should be the mood of the devotees to serve, especially the senior, but not to the point of making the lower devotees as your. So the advancement in devotional service is trying to control the negative, and be more positive, be more servant to everyone, and controlling anger, lust, and greed. So, most of the time, greed and lust is associated with hankering. Hankering. We want something for ourselves. And when we are not able to have that hankering, then anger will set in. And then your intelligence goes away, and your memory also goes away. Then you fall down. And then, most of the time, we are lamentation. So it's either lamentation and hankering. It's a flip-flopping condition. So we should be free from hankering and lamentation. And we instead of hankering, we long for more service, more service, more service. Then when we do something, Krishna, it means we should think that Krishna doesn't sees that this thing that was taken away prevents us from surrendering more to the service. So most of the time, Krishna takes away the attachment, the object of attachment. He forcefully takes away the attachment. And when we do not understand this taking away of this attachment, we lament. And when we lament, most of the time we what? Blame. Blame everyone except myself. That's the tendency. When we lament, we blame everyone except myself. So we suffer. Lamentation is suffering. But when we see it as the hands of the Lord acting to take away the attachments, which prevents us from advancing in devotional service. Last. The LUST.
Last. I'm just wondering, from the Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna says, whatever we do,
Whatever we eat,
whatever austerity we perform,
Yat karosi yat asnasi, yat karosi katasi yat.
we do that as an offering to me, for Sankunti. So from there, like, if we surrender to Krishna, Krishna will maintain what we have and give us what we lack. So paano yung Prabhu, nagka-chant tayo, perform tayo ng devotional service. So how come na we as devotee na, di ba pag when we are in the temple when we serve, so detachment ano yun, kunti-kunti mawawala na, lesson. But how come like when we have family problems, why we lament, why Kumbaga, bakit ganun? Nandyan pa rin yung attachment sa family.
So, as long as we are here in the material world, we have material connections. So it's very rare when a person cuts all the material connections from one's existence. And those who can perform that are the sannyasis, those who have cut all connections from his physical existence. So it's very hard. It's really very hard because there's attachment. You have what to call love for your children, love for family and parents. So it's very hard to do away with those things. We should recognize that. But eventually, it's said that when we serve the root of the tree, we serve everyone. So when we try to realize that and internalize that in our heart, somehow the attachment will go away because we will become more attached to the root. Although we forget the leaves, the branches, and the flowers, we forget about them, we are somehow serving them indirectly by watering the root. So in the same way, when we eventually somehow detach ourselves from this attachment of family, attachment of material objects, sometimes we are attached to our car. I'm attached to this tablet. So the point is to dovetail, to connect those things, so-called material things, to the Supreme Lord. So somehow the attachment will be lessened, and attachment to the Supreme Lord will be more developed. In that way, when those attachments are being taken by the Supreme Lord, we will not be affected. But if we do not perform devotional service, and if we do not get the knowledge, the proper knowledge and the required knowledge for such a detachment, then we will always be attached. So when things happen to family, we are so much affected. But if we, by intelligence or by proper knowledge, we will not be anymore affected by negative things happening to the objects, to the relatives, isn't it? When it should come to a point when our father dies or our mother dies, we should realize that they're not actually dying, only the body, and the body will change. And we know that if there's a neophyte devotee in a family, so all the kinsmen in the present generation will be saved. That's how powerful is serving the root. We serve Krishna and the Guru, then the whole family, the whole generation in the family line will be saved. So in that way, if we know that, then what's the point of lamenting or being angry or being affected by family ties, by friends, by mundane friends? So our real friends are the ISKCON family, devotional family. You sure? No more? Na-answer na?
Abu, it is stated here in what we're reading, the length of the tortoise incarnation of the Lord is said to be 800,000 miles. very, very long.
Very wide.
Very wide. 800 miles is already very wide. 8,000 miles very wide already, but this is 800,000 miles. So you can reach America at this rate.
Yeah.
So how, why,
The ocean's milk is not in the earthly planet. It is in the Milky Way. It is in another region of the universe where the Shirodakasai Vishnu lies on his bed with the, and it said that during the journey, the goddess Lakshmi also appeared, the goddess of fortune. So it is in another part of the universe. So the dimension there is very huge, very wide. It's not within the earthly planet.
beyond imagination.
8 miles.
Yeah,
8 miles is 1 yojana. 8 times 10. 800. 800 miles is
800,000 miles.
10 yojana.
The width of the incarnation, Kurma incarnation.
Because 8 million is 1
It
yojana.
is also stated in
8
Kobo,
miles is 1 yojana.
the Mandara mountain, this very big mountain, is placed at the back of Garuda, which means to say Garuda expanded also.
Yeah, Garuda is a very powerful expansion of the Supreme Lord. He can turn himself very small, he can turn himself very big, very huge, limitless power of expansion and being small. So they have mystic power, isn't it? Actually, it's mystic power. You can be smaller than the smallest and become big than the biggest. And Hanumanji is also the same. He can expand himself. That's why when he was flying towards the Lanka, isn't it?
Yes.
He was gliding. He expanded himself.
Because I always see in the Bhagavatam that being of the carrier of Vishnu is only ordinary, the size is just hand. And
Yeah, the
I'm
pictures.
also wondering how can he eat basuki? Because basuki is very large, very big snake. And that's
Yeah, the
now-
snakes are always in fear of Garuda. They are always
Now I
in fear.
understand that because he can become larger than the Lord. Then he can eat basuki.
Yeah. Carriers ni Lord Vishnu. Incidentally, when our Gurudev was about to pass, I was with him. I was with him in front of Garuda's standby in Mayapur. And he was saying, he was praying for the last time in Garuda's presence. He was saying to us, several devotees was with him. I was at his side, and he was saying that Garuda is the official carrier of Krishna, Vishnu. He can carry us back to the kingdom of God, he said. And he was about to fly in an airplane. So that was memorable. So Garuda is not an ordinary eagle or bird. He's a powerful expansion of the Supreme Lord. So thank you very much. Gandalaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Yeah.
Shri Raghunandan Ki Jai, Shri Pankata Ki Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaura Premanande.
His Grace Mahendra Prabhu Ki Jai,
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Prasadam Ki.
Ekadashi.